Hi Daz, I'm the producer of The Drift, and I'm going to have a bit of a moan today, or I don't know if it's a moan, but perhaps just raising an issue, and it comes up time and again, and the issue is money, and paying people, or perhaps more accurately, not paying people, and how ethical or not ethical that is in terms of what we do. And the reason why it's sort of come up at the moment is because as I advertise online, a few people online are sort of saying, you know, don't know why you're working, getting people to work for nothing, and quoting fair trade and all the rest of it. And I take it with a kind of a pinch of salt, to be honest, because first of all, I'm not being paid. None of us are being paid. And I also know that a lot of people out there play the whole, well, you know, get yourself in the industry if you work for us for nothing type thing. And I'm totally aware of that as well. But I'm not in the industry either. In some ways I suppose we are, because we're industrious and we're creating a professional looking product, but we're not being paid, and there's no grand scheme to distribute this movie in a commercial way or anything like that. It genuinely is about getting people together to make a film. That's its primary reason. I want to make a movie. I can't afford to pay people. There are lots of people out there who want to make big movies but aren't getting the opportunity to make them. So it kind of seems to me as the perfect combination to get these two types of people together. But nonetheless, it still seems to be a talking point. And I think something else that sort of comes up with this is that the argument of money comes up even when people are working for free. So sometimes we get people who say, you know, well, we'll do it if you pay our expenses, or well, you know, I tell you what, why don't you hire my equipment and then we can call that even. And then sometimes people drop out because they are getting paid work, and when they do, it's completely cool. In fact, I congratulate them, because ultimately the majority of people that are involved with us are wanting to make money from what they do, from whether it's visual effects or acting or whatever. So actually that's great, because that's exactly what I'm hoping that these people are going to get, that they're going to work on our project, and then either directly or indirectly, by either gaining experience or by virtue of demonstrating their capability, either way or both, they're getting work out of it. So actually that is achieving the aim, and that is not meant to be like a Yabu sucks to people who are saying, well, you know, what you guys doing, you know, you're not paying them. You know, if I was given a pound for every time someone offered me, you know, an opportunity to be on a credit or something, I'm not having a dig at that at all, because I totally understand where they're coming from, because we get it. We get emails. I get sent emails of people doing exactly the same to me, you know, saying, I've got this great idea for a film, I think it would make loads of money, I can't pay you, but if you help out with all your skills and stuff, we could be rich, whatever. So I get it too. So I'm not, you know, I'm totally down with that. I totally understand that. But at the same time, I think people could be missing a trick with us. And again, this is not a means of trying to get people to suddenly join us, whatever. We're looking for people all the time anyway. But we have people who, we have a lot of talkers, and I know I'm talking right now, but hopefully, you know, I do stuff too. I'm a doer more than a talker, I suppose. People who talk a good talk, I've done forums, both online and in person, where people say, you know, I'm trying to get in the industry, but I'm not getting any experience, no one gives me a chance. And I say the same sort of things back to them, which is, well, you've got to make your own opportunities, you've got to be prepared to work for nothing on projects that you think are valuable to whatever it is you want to achieve, and be wise and know when to say no, and know when you're being ripped off and when you're not being ripped off, and that kind of thing. And we get people who understand that, and then they contact us, and then the other thing they then find out is that it's actually quite hard work, making films like this. And this is in no way directed at anybody who was actually helping our movie, because obviously they're all working hard. This, you know, just like these diaries aren't directed at anybody in particular, they're just me giving my opinions, so you can take them or leave them. But we get people who, you know, quote all the good things, like, you know, what kit they use, what camera they use, what editing you use, what visual effect program, or whatever. They talk good talk, but they don't deliver. And these people, you know, disappear very quickly. You know, they go back and, you know, do whatever it is they do. But I find it a little bit frustrating when, on the one hand, you have people who throw you flippant comments about, you know, fair trade and whether we're exploiting people, and at the same time we're offering opportunity to people who don't who think they want to do it and find out that it's hard work or whatever, and then they don't have that focus, and then they come back 6 months later, not to us or whatever, and say there's no opportunities, or there's no I can't get any experience and no one will hire me. Well, why is that then? Because what are you actually delivering? Because the reality is, it's not about playing a game in some way. It's not about, well, you've got to get work experience, so you can get a job. It's actually about being competitive, because there are some people out there who don't see it as work experience. They just see it as experience and as fun and as something they want to do. And me, you, whoever wants to get into this or stay in it, that's who you're competing with. You are going to be competing with people who naturally can't stop doing sound effects or visual effects or filmmaking or editing. It's their life, as it were. Now, I'm not saying that only people who are like that will get a job, but that's who you're competing with. You see these big time producers and directors and actors and all the rest of it. That's all they live for. That's all they have lived for, and that's why every documentary about them is about their struggle or whatever. And that's not to say that people who are not getting there aren't struggling either. I'm just saying that's what you're competing with. So it's bringing it back sort of full circle. We're not paying people because we can't. It's not because we don't want to, or because we want to make money. Because we're not making money, but we are making movies, and it's hard work. So when you're not paying someone, and it's a hard job, it's a hard movie to make, then the kind of people you're looking for are those who will be doing it anyway, and it's just trying to signpost them to us so that we can be doing that together. I've been making films for 20 years, I haven't made a penny. I suspect that will probably continue, and I don't care, because here we are making movies that we want to make, not being restricted by industry, not being restricted by financiers or investors. Not to say that would never happen, but for right now, whilst at the one hand we're not making any money, we're not paying anybody, we're also not being told what to do, and that's a great freedom to have. People who work with us, are volunteers, and hopefully they're volunteering for sort of two reasons. One is because they want to showcase themselves, and secondly because they actually kind of like the idea. They actually kind of like what we're making. It's in keeping with their sort of style. So it's a good thing. So it's a difficult discussion, that. I mean, I'm not trying to just to sort of emphasise. I'm quite happy to be flamed online. I'm quite happy for people to assume that that we're making people work for nothing, and then we're going to all become rich, and they're all just going to be left. I'm quite happy for them to assume that, because I know that goes on in the real world. So it's only natural that they would think that's what we're doing. And the aim of this sort of diary isn't to sort of to correct that. I think it's just to raise that issue, because it is an issue. People are being taken advantage of in the real world, and you as a filmmaker, as an editor, as a sound effect producer, whatever you are, you've got to be wise to that. I would like to think that we are being quite an open book with this production, that we're actually saying exactly what we do on the tin. No one gets paid, we're not getting paid, you can have the footage, whatever you do you can use as a showreel. I know from experience over the last 20 years that we have had people who are now working in the industry from what we've done, whether that's indirect or directly involved because of what we have, what they've done with us, or whether it's just part of that package and they were always going to be there anyway, but they just happened to have jumped in with us for a while and then moved on. Either way, people are benefiting, and at the same time we get to see people who aren't really up to it, who think they are, who think they like the idea of it but don't really deliver. And the argument there, of course, is perhaps well, they'll never get in the industry. Even if they get some paid experience, they still won't get signed on. You're only as good as your last job, so think about that. It's an interesting one. I just thought I'd get that out because I had a lot of few emails and bits and bobs going on online at the moment, which I thought made it an interesting talking point, and one that will probably come up again. Perhaps in a few years, if I got lucky and suddenly I'm, working, in the big league, it might all be very different. Perhaps I should do a diary then, if that happens, as to what changes and why it changes. Perhaps then look back at this diary and and see how things are developed. But for right now, it's all about getting this film done, getting volunteers involved, continue to be involved. People are staying with us, people are enjoying it, people are using our footage already for their own show reels, and we're getting a movie made. So can't be that bad, can it?